Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us here on Stream 1 at DSC MENA 2025. My name is Nain Kamal, and I'll be host throughout today's exciting session. We're kicking things off with Basant Mounir, Senior Data Scientist at the Central Bank of Egypt. He'll be showing us how to stay ahead in the AI race by blending product engineering principles with AI native tools to build impactful solutions.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I appreciate that you came here on a Thursday morning. Hopefully you'll learn a lot from this session. We're going to be talking about how to stay ahead with product engineering and AI native tools. Before that, I want to introduce myself to you. So I'm a senior data scientist at the Central Bank of Egypt, and I'm an in MIT, the MIT Applied Data Science Professional Program. I really care to spread product. I'm a data and AI advisor for startups mainly because I'm passionate about startups, and I really care to spread product awareness. So, like, I'm gonna doing in this session. We're gonna be talking about product principles and product concepts. So, I session. Bill Gates said, not just Bill Gates, everybody who had headlines like this, but I just got the most significant headline. Within 10 years,
Hello, everyone. We're just having a technical issue, but we'll be back shortly in about a minute. Please wait for it.
Hey everyone, can you hear and see me now? Okay, great. So I'll be back. Just reloading. Thank you all so much for waiting. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I had technical issues, but yeah, we're back and let's start again. Um, thank you all. Let me share my screen and let's go. Can you all see my screen? Just making sure. Okay, thank you. All right, perfect. Awesome. So let's begin. So yeah, today we're gonna be talking about how to stay ahead in AI with product engineering and AI native tools. I will talk about what are these two things now. What is product engineering and what is AI native tools? You're probably wondering too. I just want to quickly introduce myself before we get started. I'm Basant Mounir. I'm senior data scientist at Central Bank of Egypt. I'm an industry expert and mentor for the MIT Applied Data Science Professional Program. I'm a data and AI advisor for startups. I'm very passionate about people building things from scratch. And finally, I'm a product awareness advocate, which is why I made this session. So why this session? So this is just one headlines out of many you probably have seen. Within 10 years, AI will replace many doctors and teachers. Humans won't be needed for most things. So it's very clear that people who use AI will have an advantage over people who do not use AI. And we're already seeing this with the many layoffs in the news now. So AI native tools are AI tools that are tools that use AI. Basically, that's what it means. It means that it's powered by AI. So when you use it, first of all, you do your task more deeply. So you might see blind. You might do your analysis in a more advanced way. There are blind spots you might have had without the task, without AI, that now you can see. So, for example, if you're researching, you can get a much better depth of articles as opposed to if you just open a few links on your own. So that's the first thing. The second thing is so much faster. So it takes the manual tasks and it automates them for you because AI is getting more sophisticated now. So that's the AI native part. That's how you stay ahead with AI native tools. What about product engineering? So now in the job market of data scientists and software engineers, so people who make software, there is a shift from knowing how to build good software to knowing how to build good software plus impactful software. Building impactful software means that it affects the bottom line of the business. So maybe revenue reduction, revenue increase, not reduction, cost reduction, more streamlined operations. So there is some kind of impact on the organization, good things that come from your product. So this practice is called product engineering, building impactful products. So we can see here some articles, are product engineers replacing software engineers? So it's all about creating the impact. That's the difference, really. You care to build something, a solution that solves a problem and it provides value for the users. So you are also user-oriented, you are user-facing, and you use your technical skills to build what the user wants. So in this session, we will also talk about how to stay ahead with product engineering. Product principles will help make sure that the product you build has higher chances of being adopted and loved by users. So that's why you should join this session. And these are the two skills we're going to be focusing on today. Yeah. So I hope the title now makes sense. So that's the first thing. Now, how do we make the most out of this session? So this session will go as follows. We have a case study, okay? And throughout the case study, we will start from problem, like the team approaching us and telling us they want to use AI. And of course, we shouldn't always do projects for people who say we want to use AI. I'll tell you why shortly. So starting from the contact with your clients or stakeholders or users, up to releasing the minimum viable product, which is something that does exactly what you need to do, not more than that. We will explain more. So we're following a case study, and every after every concept, I'll pause and ask if there are any questions. So the mindset I want you to bring with this is that there is no right and wrong, okay? Product principles and the concepts we're going to be explaining, they're meant to guide you. They're meant to help you to ground your thinking, okay, in the user needs. And they're not absolute right or wrong. It's not a constitution. So feel free to play with the product's principles and tweak them as you see fit, okay? So the second thing, please interact. So yeah, it's a case study. I'm going to be doing hands-on, discussing hands-on with you the product's parts and showing you what tools we can use, AI tools, to make our job faster. So this is not a spoon-feeding session. Yeah, please bring a critical thinking mindset too. And I'm going to be asking questions throughout the session. Please participate. Product awareness is something that's not very popular right now in Egypt. So I hope that this session begins the discussions in product awareness. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So our case study is a company called Best Travels. So Best Travels has a market research team, and they come to us and they say that they want to use AI, okay? Unfortunately, many teams come now to us data scientists and AI engineers and software engineers, and they say they want to use AI, but does AI really solve the problem? So that's what we need to check and make sure of, because we can't just use AI. You need to protect your time as an AI engineer or a data scientist or even a software engineer. You need to protect your time and to invest in solutions that you can build and that will provide the value. So the first thing you need to do is you need to understand people and process, okay? We need to ask, first of all, this team, what value are they giving to the company? Because your product should be adding to the impact, should be adding to the value they're giving. So they want to bring the best vacation activities. So they're researching the market to find the best vacation activities so they can be planned for the customers who will go on holiday. So your product has to help with that. You have to be aligned with them. What is their process? So their process, they say that every month we get the trending topics, holiday activities, and then we do a lot of research and we send a final refined list of activities to the planning team to arrange the holidays. So this is a good overview of the process, right? Here, through experience, you can start to tell through meticulous research, formulate a list. So you might automate some of it. You might automate some of the research. So if you can automate some parts of the process, then AI is a good solution. I will show you how to study the process itself and to exactly determine which parts to apply AI to. So now we know what they provide, their value they provide, and we know the process by which they provide the value, an overview of it. Now, what is their complaint? They're saying we wish we can be faster. You know, like we do our list monthly, but we wish we can be even faster than that. And they're saying monthly is very difficult already. And you know, they're a team of 4 people, as you can see on the left. So if they hire more people, it's gonna be, the communication will be tough. The overhead will kill the purpose of the research, right? So that's their pain. They wish they can deliver faster. So this pain also is a good sign that we can use AI, because they want faster and they research meticulously. So I can probably automate some parts of the research and I can alleviate this pain of I don't deliver fast enough, okay? Because the faster they deliver activities list, the more aligned with like the trends the vacation plans will be, and the higher the purchase rate will be, okay? So this is a good candidate for AI, to use AI for these reasons, for automation and because they want faster. Okay, they want to do their process faster, right? All right. So now, how do we get started with this project? I want to ask you, which part of what we've just said do we need to dive in deeper to see exactly how we can help? Is it the value, the process, or the pain? You can unmute and answer. Okay, I just need to make sure that you guys can hear me. Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. So, are you unable to unmute and answer my questions? I think so. It's all right. Maybe you can answer in the chat, and I'll try to see. Okay. So, which part do you think is the most important to dive in deep first? So yeah, we first checked that the value we can provide, okay? The value they provide, so we make sure we provide it too. We know their process and pain, and now because we know their process and pain, we checked there could be automation, and this automation will help alleviate their pain because they'll deliver faster. So yeah, which of the three do you think? So it's actually the process. I want to know more about the process. What specific tasks do they do to go from point A to point B, right? So let's begin. The first thing is to build a proof of concept. So the proof of concept is not a functional product. It's something that looks like the functional product that I will show you now how to build. And it's about building the right product. So here again, as I said earlier, it's people and process. Technical is not important right now. Get all of your technical skills out of your head. It's now all about finding what are the features or how to build the right product, the product that the people want to use that will solve their problem. And that's what the proof of concept targets, okay? So that's the first part. I want to build a proof of concept, right? So the first thing I need to do is to establish a decision flow, to model a decision flow. And what is a decision flow exactly? So a decision flow is getting from point A to point B, right? So first of all, something has to trigger that decision. So I need to take a decision, and for example, a team came and asked, where are the best, where's the list of the best holiday activities? So that's a trigger. Now I need to make a decision. What's the decision I need to make? What's the desired impact at the end? It's the list of the best holiday activities, right? So the decision is triggered, right? And then the input channels is basically how you receive inputs that you might need to use. For example, maybe you need to browse the internet for information. Maybe you receive spreadsheets from other teams. Maybe you can access the database. So it's the means of you getting information that will help you make the decision. So for example, here, what do you think is the input channel? It's probably the internet. I need to browse the internet, right, to see what are the trending holiday activities for the month, so I can curate this list of the best activities. The decision trigger here, by the way, it's a monthly process. So this is a monthly triggered decision. Okay, so it can be an automated decision flow, or it can be a decision that's like one-off, spontaneous. Please, I need this. It can be like that, or it can be, for example, monthly, like in our case. The input, as we said, could be the web, right? After I've received my inputs, I will perform a set of tasks. Okay, these tasks will help me prepare the list I want, and then I will distribute it through the output channel. So the output channel, sorry, why am I mentioning the output channel? So this is a mistake many people make. They build the product in isolation, and then they discover at the end, oh, I need to deploy this product on this system inside, the organization. I need to deploy it inside in the CRM, for example, or I need to deploy it on a particular system that this, team uses that I have no idea about. So that's why it's important to know your output channel, because it's important to know in what context you will deploy your product. How will you integrate with the system that's already being used? Okay, because I've seen this happen. It's actually a very popular bottleneck. I'm done with the product. The model is great. It solves the problem. It automates the tasks they do. And then we discover that, oh, they need to have this on the product on this particular system to be able to use it. And it's frustrating for both parties, for us and for our clients because we're done, but now we have to figure out how to get this in the decision flow they already have. So that's why it's important to know the output channel. In our case, the output channel is, it can be a web app, and because let's say the company regulations allow for that. So it's very important to check with the company compliance and regulations. Usually IT will know that. So you have to, before, while you model your decision flow, you have to know exactly from the team and from IT in what way the product will be deployed. What's the output channel for this product? Okay. So again, I need to model the decision flow. It begins by trigger. Something triggers the entire process. I need to know from where I'll gather the input. What inputs do they take already to make the decision? How they make the decision? Where do they make the decision? The output where it should be. And finally, this, after they use the output, the desired impact should be fulfilled. All right, so let's see the tasks that they do. So first of all, they're a team of 4. They research the trends, everyone individually, right? Then they have a meeting to group the findings of their research. So they want to group the trends, put them in groups. Okay. In each group, they want to find the theme. What's the theme of this group? For example, maybe there's someone saying there's an aquatic park now in Hurghada. Hurghada has conferences, so Hurghada's the theme, for example. And we want to prioritize them. So the more we talk about Hurghada, the more it's trending online, the higher the priority, of course. So after they do that, after they find the prioritized list of themes, there's just 4 people, so they distribute among them the themes so they can research even deeper to get the exact activities. For example, yeah, in Hurghada, we can say that we have the aquatic park. It's going to the aquatic park main activity. For example, going to a particular mall that just opened and is trending for some reason. So each member takes a set of themes and researches them more deeply to get the activities list. Finally, they all sit, okay, to consolidate the activities list. So they all get their activities and they make one big combined list, and they give the activities list to the planning team so people can plan the holidays at the planning team and deliver the holiday packages to their customers. Now I want to ask you a question. What is the most important skill to be able to model the decision flow? A soft skill. What do you think it could be? So actually, I want to see the answers for this one. It's an important question. Okay, I'll tell you. So the most important skill, thank you, by the way, to everyone who answered process. You're all right. The most important skill is empathy, right? Because if you cannot see the person in front of you, then you cannot help the person in front of you, right? Like when someone is having a bad day and maybe they're being rude to us, we're bothered, right? But then when we sit down and we listen to them and we see them, we start to empathize with them. We start to act based on this new information or new way of seeing these people, right? So because we now have empathy for them, right? So we start to act in ways that will make them feel better, right? It's the same thing. We need empathy. We need empathy also when we're designing the product to make sure that this product, because I see you, right, as a product engineer, or I see you as someone with good product skills, I will build what you want, even if you're not very aware of it. Even if you're not very aware of what you want. So this is a more advanced, scenario where the person who wants to work with you isn't exactly sure what they want. You get it by practice, okay? So you have to be ready to see the world through their eyes. And these are some tips I have for you. So of course, when we're making the decision flow, it will take a lot of meetings. It can take months. That's why I'm sure many of you have heard, coding is only 20% of the data science work. Defining the problem is the hardest part of data science. So I'm here showing you actually the tools you can use to do that. And because you need empathy and you need to understand this exact process to see where you can help, this is what takes a lot of time. Because you will find, for example, you don't know their language, you know, you don't speak their language, their market research team, what are the marketing terms? I don't know. So their language and their priorities, what are they delivering? What terms do they use? What they are they delivering? I highly recommend you get a glossary, for example, about market research, and to learn the basic terms in the glossary. You can ask ChatGPT to explain to you each term. I do that. It doesn't take me more than a day. So this can get you up and running fast. So you have their, you know, lingo faster. So you can talk to them in their language. Of course, their context. So what teams do they interact with? Because the teams, you know, their surroundings impact the way they work. So for example, here they work with the planning team, okay? So the planning team takes their output, the output of the team I currently work with, my team, and they use it to deliver packages to the customers. So that's how that's our surroundings, okay? I made it simple here, but in real life scenarios, it's much more complex than that. There are several teams involved. There's dependence on IT. There might be several people wanting the output of the team, but here it's just the planning team. They want my list that I curate from the internet and give it to them so they can plan the holidays. So that's a small company, okay? Of course, the pain points and the value you can add. So they're gonna tell you about things that bother them. So to have a seed of ideas in your head before you join them, you can search AI applications for challenges in their industry. So you can ask Perplexity about that. You can go on Perplexity and ask, what are the top 5 applications in market research, for example, just to have an idea of what challenge they might have and how AI solves them. So just to prime up your mind to have ideas. Finally, of course, people don't just work for the company; they have personal agendas. So it's good to know what drives people, so you know how to collaborate with them. So these are the ways I can. These are my tips for you to establish empathy with the team you're working with, and consult glossaries for the terms. Let ChatGPT explain the terms for you, and to understand the value you can add quickly, just go on Perplexity and ask, what are the top 5 challenges in market research, and how can AI solve them? Okay. So, of course, the decision flow can take months to build. Here, I just, again, it's done because I can't really simulate meetings for you, but you'll need to meet a lot, not just to establish the decision flow, but to gain their trust. So when they feel like you're taking them seriously and you're listening to them and they're active participants in the product you're building, they feel like they own the product. A big mistake that I see a lot is that people build the product in isolation and then they hope for the best. The team will use it. My accuracy is high. Of course, the team's going to use it. And then we're shocked when we see numbers like 80% of data science projects fail. It's because you don't involve them enough. You have to involve them enough. So you build, first of all, you make sure you're building the right thing because you're constantly listening to them and getting their feedback. The second thing, because they're involved, they feel like this is mine, For example, in our university courses, and be honest with yourself, when you attend lectures and tutorials, for example, frequently, you feel like you are very responsible for the exam and you take it seriously. However, when we attend nothing at all, at the end we slack. So it's the same thing, it's the same psychology for the business, for the stakeholders. The more you involve them, the more they will feel responsible for what you're building. Okay. So up to this point, any questions? Is it clear, the idea of decision flow and empathy? The tips for empathy, are they clear for you? Okay. All right, so now we need to know in our decision flow, what are the bottlenecks, right? So what is choking the flow? What is disrupting the flow? So we need to see each process. So the pain point they mentioned is it takes a lot of time to complete this decision flow on a monthly basis. So which parts of it take the most time? So that will be the bottleneck, right? So let's listen to them. We don't make assumptions. So now we have our decision flow. We ask them for each part of the process. What's your pain? So you want to know in more detail. They said it takes a lot of time, right? But what takes a lot of time? So let's see their comments first so they can guide us. So for the first page, they're saying you got lost in a black hole. Makes sense. Imagine searching the wide open internet for trends. We are scared we missed that idea. So here this is the blind spot I was talking about. I don't want to leave ideas behind. So AI can help me cover blind spots, right? Also, we noticed our observation from the decision flow. 4 people are doing the same thing. 4 people are researching because they're scared they will miss something. So they think that if each of them researches, they will find everything they need. So this is something this is redundant work, and this can be reduced. Using our AI sense, this can be automated. Now for the trends exploration, they're saying we never agree on groupings. So grouping together the headlines they find, it's annoying for them. Some people think they should be grouped in a specific way, others think they should be grouped in a different way. So it's something that consumes a lot of their time and frustrates them. And of course, going through all of the results takes a lot of time, like reading everything they found. They have so many meetings, and of course they have to analyze for the priority. So priority is important. Drains my will to live. So their morale gets worse. So what we care about here, first of all, grouping. So this is important for us. So grouping is how they do the task, okay? Sorry, I forgot to change the titles. They shouldn't be explore trends. So this one is to group the trends, okay? And priority, of course. So after I group, I should be able to tell them this is the most important group, this is the second most important group, and so forth. Then after they discuss and distribute the themes among themselves, they say, by the time that, now we have a specific topic to research, we have no energy because all of the previous ones, the 2 previous steps took a lot of time, but they like this task because it's more defined. So here we see that they're not in their best shape for the most important task, which is researching the activities for the trending topics. And last but not least, of course, putting the topics together is the most fun part, the fastest part. So this is the least painful part of the workflow. So it looks like the first and the second parts, finding the trends and grouping the trends and prioritizing these groups, takes the most time. But we need to measure that, okay? Again, another critical mistake that I see is that there are no set metrics. How will you show, how will you show the managers, like top level management and this team themselves, how will you show them that you are actually providing value and impacting them? So one way to measure impact and to see impact is quantitative metrics. So for example, you see how many days each task takes. You ask them, how much time, does the exploring trends take? For example, here it looks like it takes 8 days. So this is a month, okay? Group and prioritize looks like it takes like 2 weeks actually. Half of the month they're just grouping and prioritizing, and so on. So what we see here, clearly what the bottleneck is that the first 2 steps take 60% of the month almost. So how can we measure if we're doing better than them, like if our AI is doing better than the current process? So one way to do it is to measure the monthly capacity of the team. So for example, here they used to take 30 days, and after I automated the first 2 tasks, now they take 60% less time, so 60% freed up team capacity. So that's one metric. Another metric can be time to insight. So previously, time to insight means how much time does the analysis take so you see the insights you need. So here the insight I need is the final list of the activities, and it takes 1 month. But now I need 60% less time if I automate successfully step 1 and step 2. I need 60% less time to get my insight. So of course, we're not experts in metrics. You're not expected to be an expert. Actually, I highly recommend you go to Perplexity and describe to it. Sorry, so this is a prompt I like to use based on the following decision flow. So you describe the decision flow. You describe the feedback you've received, this feedback for each stage. So you describe each step of the decision flow and the feedback you've received. What are the qualitative metrics? What are the quantitative metrics and value that I can measure to see the success of the product? Okay. So actually, let me show you how to do that. It's nice to see hands-on. Sorry, give me a minute. Also, I want to tell you why Perplexity. You might be asking, why not ChatGPT? Why do you want to use Perplexity? So I'll tell you when to use Perplexity and when to use ChatGPT. They're actually different. So Perplexity is more grounded in facts, more grounded in, it's as if the difference between ChatGPT and Perplexity. Basically, Perplexity, it's as if you're sitting in a library and you ask a guy like in the library, please go find books and passages about how can I measure impact. And he goes and gets you the books and tells you, okay, I found this book, it says this. I found you this book, it says this metric. ChatGPT, on the other hand, it's like someone you're reading a book with. So a friend you're reading a book with in the library and you're discussing the book together. So it helps you brainstorm. Okay, that's the difference between ChatGPT and Perplexity, basically. So here you ask it, for example, like let's ask about a specific a specific task. So for grouping, headlines, what metrics can we measure its impact? What metrics can we use to measure its impact? So I want you to see how it works. It searches the web and it tells you how it's like from the sources it finds the answers. So it gets you the information like that and it shows you the links. So here it's not very accurate because I'm not gonna put the full prompt right now. But when you describe the decision flow, as I told you, and the comments of the people, you will get good answers. I'll show you the answers it gave me. So actually, it gave me this monthly capacity and time to insight. This was part of the answer. And it also gave me qualitative value. So what is qualitative value? It's value added that you can't really measure. So I want you to look at the descriptions of exploring trends and grouping them. If you look at the description, you can see the value you add that's not really measured. So I want you to take a minute and read them and see what are things we cannot measure, but they really make the lives of the people working easier. So of course, the blind spots part, you just saw Perplexity. It searches the entire web. So AI does that. It has a bigger breadth. Okay. So they're probably not going to miss the big idea. And AI can help automate the grouping part, right? So they don't need to discuss the grouping. AI will just give them the groups. So it aligns the team. So that's another added value. It aligns the team. And finally, it raises the team morale because they don't really enjoy that task, as you can see. So yeah, again, to recap, so far, we see the decision flow. We see what are the most painful parts of the decision flow by asking our users directly about the pain in each part. After we know which parts are the most painful, we want to see how to find metrics that measure how we can make it better for them, like reducing their monthly capacity and increasing and also reducing the time to insight. And the other way we see the impact is qualitative, like raising team morale, aligning the team, having big breadth. Like this is the value we add that maybe it can't be measured. So yeah, now that you know, first of all, do you have any questions until here, up to this point? سكوت علامة الرضا, I guess. Okay. Yeah. Now that you have, you know the decision flow and what parts of the task you can automate, you can start having sketching sessions with the team. What is that? So you bring a paper and a pencil and you start drawing, what can the solution look like that solves their basic problem. Okay. So maybe the first thing you can draw for them, you can tell them, okay, the first time I can help you search. So here I wanted to draw, but I'm sorry, I switched laptops, so I'm not going to be able to draw. But yeah, the first thing you need to do is to, start sketching. Just begin. Maybe the first thing you can say is, I can help you choose dates, the dates that you want to see the trend in. So do you want to see it in the last week, the last month, the last day? What time window do you want? And then you can get a summary, okay, of the trends. But what's the problem with that? They will tell you, but this does not show us the priorities. Also, we want to be able to see the groupings. We want to see how similar the headlines are. Are they very similar? Are they very different? So they want something visual, okay? They want something more visual. So the grouping, the summary is not going to work. Of course, summary is the easiest thing. You're just going to ask, you can get something like ChatGPT and LLM and just ask it, look, these are the headlines, and you can just summarize. So this is the easiest way to go about it, but this is not what they want. So you draw again another solution. You tell them, okay, we draw clusters for them. Is this what you want? You want to see clusters for the related headlines. So of course, when you see clusters of the related headlines in every cluster, you can see how close together headlines are. So if they're similar, they will be close. And if they're not similar, they're going to be far. So they say, yes, this is what we want. We want to be able to search for a particular topic. We want to be able to search, we want to be able to get the trends and see the clusters that make sense and see how similar they are. And to get the clusters, yes, this is what we want. So this is what they want. Of course, they can ask you for additional things like, I want to export the clusters. I want more information about the headlines in the clusters. I want to see how many, for example, the specific days, each point, each headline was published. But these are all noise. These are extra features. Remember, you want to solve the exact problem. The exact problem is to take care of the research for them. So to do the breadth first search and to group. That's all you need to do for now, okay? That's the proof of concept. You are solving exactly the problem and not more, okay? You can do better, of course. You can give them a better solution, but that's not how you get started. How you get started is you see the pain point they have, right? And you build something for that. That's your what you want to start out with, right? So, of course, when we draw on paper, it's not very effective, okay? The user, we can imagine because we build the products, but our users can get lost. They can, it's hard for them to visualize, a web application, for example. So what can we do? So we can do something more interactive. So it's an interactive proof of concept, and you can get it done in less than an hour with Lovable. So what does Lovable do? You describe to it. So this is an AI native tool. You describe to it what website do you want, and it builds it for you. Front end, back end, even database. So they use Supabase. Supabase is like a database for proof of concepts. It's suitable for proof of concepts. It builds it all. And you can integrate it with GitHub. So you can, you know, like fetch the code that Lovable makes, and you can make changes to it as you like. Right. So as I said, we know from the drawings, we know what's the one page that they want to see. They want to see the clusters of the news from in a particular time period. Okay, the clusters of the headlines. Of course, you don't just, so here you don't just code and forget about it. You want to think about how can I, what's the integration of the back end and the front end? And why is that? Because you will use this code later. That's the best part about it. It's a proof of concept, and at the same time, the front end and back end is done for you. So you don't, so what you have to worry about only is the AI part. So that's the genius of Lovable. I love it so much. I like the name, and I've played with it. Actually, I wanna show you. I'll stop sharing again. I wanna show you how I did it, to give you an idea of how simple and easy it is to use. I'm just logging in. So you might ask me, but we don't have a database, right? I don't have, we don't really have a database yet. We don't have our news yet. So in this case, you ask Lovable to create fake data. It's not important to have real data now. Again, you want to show them the product itself and see if they want to use it or not, if this is what they want or not. So that's what you want to see here. Okay, I'll open for you now. I'm sorry. I'll open for you now the Lovable chat I had to build the website I made. I'll share screen now. Share screen. All right, entire screen. All right, so let's have a look here. So the website actually, it looks like this. It's a very simple website. Let me show you how I designed it, how I asked it to design. So first of all, when I came in, I described to it that this is a proof of concept, and what the user, so first of all, you need to think about what the user can input and what the user wants to see as an output. So the input that the user can put is basically the query. So here you just say the holiday activities. So the market team will be using it for that purpose, holiday activities. And they can put the date they want, so from what date to what date, and they can get the results. So that's the input, okay? And they expect to be able to see clusters, okay? You describe the cluster. You say the clusters of the relevant headlines, so we get the results from the web and we cluster the results from the web. And it's a list of 2D vectors. So it's a good practice here to think about how you want to represent your data from early and what technologies you want to use. So probably to develop AI, you will be using Python. Front end doesn't really matter for us, but the back end, because we will integrate our AI with it, you have to be more accurate, more specific. You can't vibe code your way here, okay? You will have to use the back end. So you have to be able to understand it. So you will say, yes, the front end and the input I want to collect is the query and the start and end dates. And I want to get a list. What I want to get back is a list of the vectors that represent 2D, because 2D, they want to visualize it. So they need 2D, okay? I want to get the headlines as 2D vectors so I can see the clusters. So I want to see the clusters of the headlines. And this is a little extra part. It's not necessary, but I put it for, validation purposes, because of course, while you work on the product, you see the cluster, but you also want to see if it makes sense. So the summary is a good check, okay? So that's what you want to see on your page. So we want to display these results in the following manner. It's now So up you described what's the input and what's the output. Now you want to describe what the page looks like. So clusters on a 2D scatter plot, the plots on the left and the summaries on the right. And you ask it to make it the website for you. And it actually makes the website. I just had to ask it for a few tweaks. Let me go up here again. I asked it for a few tweaks, but it created the website for me as I asked it to exactly. It summarizes, first of all, what I like about Lovable. It tells you what it understood. So I'm excited to help you build clustering visualization. So it got what I want. Great concepts to analyze pattern. Great concept, yeah, to analyze patterns. We want an interactive interface. So it says I'm inspired by Tableau and Power BI. It's going in the right direction. And it tells me the features. This is what we want exactly. And it even gave me suggestions. So yeah, maybe it created a very advanced backend. I as a data scientist, I just want to go to the backend, plug my AI code, and that's it. I don't want to look for where do I put the data, where do I put, you know, what are the functions to interact with the front end. I don't want all of this. I want to put my AI model and I want this to work. At the end of the day, that's where I'm going. So product thinking is forward thinking. You're not just making a product in a vacuum, okay? I don't want an advanced backend. I just want one Python script. It takes the input I mentioned and returns the output I mentioned. And the input is used by AI and returned by AI. So I don't want user management. I don't want storage. I just want a website that's stateless. It takes input, gives me output. And only one file is responsible to take the input and give me the output, which is my AI file, basically. So it designs this website for me. I keep, I check, of course, the code base. I see if it makes sense overall for myself. And for example, when I was creating this website and I saw the code, so actually you can toggle here. I'm not sure where the button is here. It's probably because I finished the website, but you have the option to view the code from the browser too. You need to make sure that the code makes sense to you. For example, the first time it made the website, the backend was very complex. So I asked it to simplify. I just want one script that I can put my, code in directly. So make sure, of course, that the interface looks smooth and gives what we want, but also make sure that the backend, because you will put your code there later, makes sense. So you kill two birds with a stone. Okay. You kill two birds with a stone. You made the interactive proof of concept with fake data, right? And you also created, the product. Technically, you just need to do the AI part. If you have the AI part, if they like this, so let's say the team is like, this is perfect. This is exactly what we want. Now your job is to make the AI part. If they approve of this, if they do not approve of this, you will need to iterate again. So, okay, what did you not like? Then take the feedback to Lovable. Can you please change this? Like, for example, remove the summary for now. I just want to see the clusters. Or for example, I don't want to put keywords. I want to be able to, I just want to put the date start to end and search the results. So in this case, you will hard code the keywords to be vacation activities, for example. So let's recap the proof of concept. We understand the decision flow. We see the bottlenecks in the decision flow. Where exactly in the flow are the users facing pain? How can we measure the impact? There are metrics we can measure. Use Perplexity to help you with that. You can use the prompt I showed you. And we have qualitative value, right? Finally, we do the proof of concept. We sketch just to make sure we have an idea of what they want. And we use Lovable to create the product, but of course, not in its final form because it's fake data. So with this, if you've gone through all of this, it takes months, by the way. It's a very long process. I think now you can see why defining the problem is the hardest part and the longest part in any data science project. If you go through all that and you have your proof of concept ready, and now we kill two birds with a stone because you actually have something implemented, we can start the minimum viable product. We know at the beginning, we said the proof of concept is to build the right product. That was the emphasis. So what they want. Now we want to build the product right. So we have to pick the right technologies to complete our product. So actually here you already started with Lovable, you already started. Guys, can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, I thought you cannot hear me. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for confirming. Oops. Yeah. So actually, you've already began here with building your minimum viable product because Lovable did it for you, basically. So here our focus, see, so that's the beauty of AI native tools. It did the annoying work for you. I'm a data scientist. I don't care about front end or back end. I don't, we can learn them, of course, but it's so distracting. You know, our job is to do the AI part. So here it removed the noise for you, and you're gonna focus deeply on the AI part. So first of all, you look at your Lovable product, and you look, of course, at the notes you've gathered from the decision flow, and you start thinking, what will be my AI modules? This is what we call the solution architecture. You want to see what modules you will implement to go from the, you know, to get the input, to go from input to output. So my input here is actually, they just give me the start and end date and keywords, okay? And I have to go from that input to the final clusters and the summary, okay? So what do we need to do to get that? First of all, for the input, we need to do some kind of web scraping, of course. We need to use the search parameters, which are the start and end date and the keywords for the query. To get the data, we want the headlines, right? So this is the first part. We need to do web scraping. After that, we're going to get our headlines, right? The headlines might have data quality issues. Maybe the text is, maybe there are headlines, websites with no headlines, so it gets me missing headlines. Maybe there are headlines that are, you know, it says no headline, for example. So I need to clean my data, text pre-processing. I need to remove the inaccurate parts of the data. After you do that, now I have my textual data that I need. But I need to cluster it, right? I can't just use text. So I need to transform my text to vectors, numbers. And because the vectors for text are really big in dimension, very big, like maybe at least 384 dimensions, very big. I cannot look at 384 dimensions, right? So I need to do something called dimensionality reduction to go from 384 to 2 dimensions only. Cluster my 2 dimensions. Cluster, now all of my headlines are 2-dimensional. Cluster them so we can see the, I color coded, the clustering part is in yellow. And finally, summarize the cluster. So for each cluster, I can see the summary. So as you can see, based on the requirements they gave me already and what I see in the website, the input and the output, I was able to design the solution architecture, which is going from input to output. Input being the web scraping part. We do the web scraping part for the search parameters. The output is the clustering and the summarization. So how to go from point A to point B? We do the processing. We do the embedding for the text to transform it to numerical representation. And finally, because they want to see the clusters, we reduce the dimensions to 2 dimensions. And here I want to take also the chance to tell you how to think about your modules. This comes by practice. It's not an easy task. Again, you can use ChatGPT now to think with you because you want someone to think with you. But it's good to have modules that are, you know, they perform one particular task, like text pre-processing is very specific, and it's not overlapping with the other modules. So text pre-processing is completed, then I do the embedding. It's completed, then I do the dimensionality reduction. So they're not overlapping. This makes it easier for you later to try different tools and to debug. For example, I want to try specific code for the web scraping part. I want to try different library like Selenium or Beautiful Soup. So when you have modular code that's tight, it's highly cohesive, so it does a specific task, you can trade the code with another. So you can trade the technology used with another. And because it's it's loose, the modules are loosely coupled, so they're not overlapping, it's easy to do that too, okay? So the more you define your modules, the more they're defined, the easier it will be to try exchange technology seamlessly, the easier it will be to debug, of course. So now you know what your modules look like, okay? And of course, you can describe to ChatGPT, you can tell ChatGPT, okay, this is my product, describe the product to it. These are the inputs. I get these search parameters. I need clusters and summaries. What steps do you recommend? It will give you these steps more or less. I've tried it, but I don't want to waste time with that for now. Then you can start to search technologies that you can use, okay, for each part. For example, for web scraping, Selenium, Beautiful Soup, Firecrawl, blah, blah, blah. So things that can scrape for you, right? And you can go on Perplexity and ask it again. So you can describe the project overview and tell it the solution architecture, the modules. Please give me an overview of the tools I can use and the pros and cons for each module. So for example, I found for each part, for each module, these libraries. Now I have to make decisions, right? I have to choose, for example, for web scraping, I have to choose one of them. So here you try to choose things that are out of the box as much as possible, because again, this is a minimum viable product. You don't want to make highly customized things. So you pick based on that, and of course to reduce costs. So for example, for the web scraping part, and you can experiment if you have time. So News API is great. It takes the parameters I mentioned and it gives you the headlines directly. So it does the web scraping for you. Perfect. And it's for free also, for the purpose of proof of concept. Text preprocessing, for example, Python libraries, you can experiment with that. It's okay. Text embedding. So of course, you're not going to go and design your own text embedding model. You can use Hugging Face. And I want to pause here and tell you about Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is a really, it's very versatile. I want to show you the website. Hugging Face is pretty versatile. Let me share screen again. Yeah, Hugging Face is pretty versatile. So you have the models, you have models here. And the best part about Hugging Face is that many people can upload models to it. You have to use only one API key to access all of these models. And everyone uses Hugging Face. So you can see here Meta Llama 4. This was released a few days ago. So you can find, multimodal models. You can see by category. So you can pick any model you want and use the Hugging Face API to access all of these models instead of going to every service like, ChatGPT, for example, Meta getting an API key for it, going to another model getting an API key for it. It's all centralized here. One API key to rule them all. So you have models and you have data sets. So these are the most valuable things you can get from Hugging Face. And that's why I highly recommend you check it out. So it also has embedding models. So I will use Hugging Face, to just send my headlines, get my embedding. Sorry. Oh, God. Yeah. Slideshow. Okay. So yeah, for dimensionality reduction and clustering, these are algorithms. You'll have to experiment with them. And finally, for summarization, you can use LLMs. However, you can do it. There are better ways to do it. I wanted this to be a discussion, but we don't have a lot of time. But you can take, for example, I'll show you. Like if we go to the cluster, we can take the central most headline and call it the summary. So it actually works. This is one thing you can do. So yeah, I wanted also to pause here and say, don't just use LLMs directly. Here, for example, if I used LLMs, it would incur cost, because LLMs APIs are for money and they're not cheap. But to get like the central most article or headline, it costs nothing. It's a very simple Python function. So please think before you use LLMs. Also be careful about LLMs because they're not explainable. For example, if I cannot ask LLMs to create clusters for me, they cannot do that. They can just give me the summaries, but I want more detail. I want to see the clusters and I want to see the clusters. I want to see how close they are, how far apart they are. So LLMs do not do that. All right, so if you noticed here, I take the output of one module as the input of the next module. So this is a design pattern called pipeline design pattern. You're taking the output of a module, you're giving it to the next module. And same, for example, if you want to work on the clustering module inside it, you will create code, right, that takes the data that was cleaned and embedded already, and as output, it will give you the clusters. So why am I going to this level of detail? Because of course, all of you have heard of vibe coding, but we don't just, people have been, just asking, you know what, make this for me, and they have no idea how it works. This is disastrous. Okay, you cannot debug this. You are running very fast, you will crash. So do not use vibe coding like that. And even we've heard of people having their API keys in it's disastrous. Yeah. So here I'm describing to you, I want to describe to you how to use vibe coding in an effective manner. So you go to each module, and the pipeline design pattern is very popular for data projects. I haven't used any other, honestly, of, step, take an output, input, next step, output, input, next step. So first of all, you want to see the functions, design the functions for every module. So for clustering, it's actually just one function. It will take the data, give you the cluster, okay? So think of the inputs. The inputs has to be the previous data, and also it has to be the method of clustering, because remember, we said we're going to experiment with several methods, k-means, k-medoids, spectral, dbscan. So I have to experiment with several ones. So my input is the data that's cleaned and embedded, and the clustering function, right? So this is my input. The output is the clusters themselves. So I go to ChatGPT and describe to it. I tell it I want to write code. The input arguments are like a clean data, and you have to describe the format. So a data frame with columns, dimension 1 and dimension 2. This is the data frame that you're gonna get. And you're gonna get a keyword, a cluster keyword. So it can be the string. You have to describe the strings. K-means, k-medoids, dbscan, or spectral. It can be any of them. Okay, so that's the input. You describe it fully. Type, possible values. You describe the output. I want the clusters in the form of a data frame with, each headline. So dimension 1 and dimension 2, each headline, and the assigned cluster number. So that's the output you want. So, and then you tell it the logic. Cluster based on the method you're going to get. So you can do that. So I recommend you, I wanted to show you, but again, we're short on time, but you can go to ChatGPT and give it this prompt: inputs, outputs, logic, specify the format, specify the types you should. And you can, so this is good vibe coding, okay? You're asking it to do very specific tasks. You try, of course, when you're building your AI, I highly recommend use a focused environment like Colab. So Colab helps you build your AI pipeline. I also wanted to show you, but there's no time. Maybe I can share with you the notebook later. And then after you're done designing your, after you're done designing your AI code, you take it from Colab and put it back into the product that we built with Lovable. So now you have your product completed. So if you noticed here, we go from top to bottom. We start with the requirements and the app. We design the modules that you see here. For every module, we pick a specific technology. And for every module, we implement the functions. Now we can vibe code after we know what exactly functions we want. We focus, we build our AI focused in Colab, and we put it in Lovable. So basically, you finished your AI, you put it in Lovable, it works, great. Now you have your minimum viable product. Does our work stop here? No, we have to evaluate. There should be a feedback loop. So how effective is your AI? Is it clustering well? So are the clusters, first of all, are the clusters correct? Does it make sense? The clustering, does it make sense? So you have to translate that to a metric. So for example, I can see the news in each of the clusters. Are they the same topic? So here you will also have to involve your stakeholders, okay? You bring them, okay, I've done this minimum viable product. Have a look at the website. Wow, that's amazing. Let's see how the clustering is performing. You see with them each cluster. For example, you can click on a point and it will tell you the headline. Click on another point, tell you the headline. And you can ask them, is this a good cluster? Yes or no. You start gathering their feedback, okay? Is it good or bad? And then you measure how good it is. So what do you mean by how good it is? Here, for them, they don't want to miss any important topics, okay? So one of the most important metrics would be recall. Do we extract all the themes? Are our clusters extracting all the themes? So we check each cluster. Let's say we have 8 themes. Our clusters extract only 3 themes. Then your system is performing very poorly. You're not covering everything they want. So again, you can go to Perplexity and describe the system and ask it for metrics that to measure how effective the AI is. And it will explain for you and give you resources. Okay, you can automate this, by the way. You can modify Lovable to allow the user to give a thumbs up or down, but it's a hassle. I would just sit with the people and ask for their feedback, because again, it's the minimum viable product and I have only 4 people using it. You can do that. So do you have any questions before we wrap up? Let me see the chat. Okay. That's odd. Anyway, you can always ask me. I'll share with you my socials. You can always ask me later. So I vibe summarized today. I didn't tell it I'm going to be talking about AI native tools and product engineering. Write me a summary. I didn't do that. I gave it everything I just said, and I asked it to summarize. So first of all, this is good vibe summarization. Build the right. So first of all, there are 2 steps to build your product. First of all, we need the proof of concept. So build the right product. This is what I want you to be thinking. So I didn't build anything real yet. I wanted to stay with the team, trace their decision making, and see the steps of the decision making. What do they wish they had in their decision making? I wanted to not to show them that I can do good tech, but to test desire. So that's what the Lovable app will help you do. Test desire with fake data. Now you know what to build. You build the product right. You do good solution architecture, module design, good design patterns, good technology choice. So you're building the product right. And we're doing only the minimum that gives us feedback. You're not going to reinvent the wheel. You're going to try to take things that are already out there and use them as long as they meet the requirements. Okay. And the modular design will help us later evolve the code base without a lot of hassle. And these are the 4 engineering principles, product engineering principles we discussed today. The decision flows, of course, the proof of concept to validate the need, keeping the code modular and testable so you can experiment fast as you do iteration 1 and iteration 2 on the MVP based on the feedback. And finally, human in the loop feedback. People must give you their feedback. Don't just do metrics alone, So that is it. Thank you. Please, yeah, let me delete that. Please give me feedback. I'd really appreciate it. And feel free to go here to follow me on social media. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll wait for your questions on social media because I don't think I can hear you here, which is unfortunate. I don't know why I'm not seeing your comments. I don't think. Okay. So actually, I think the comment section froze. I just saw. I'm really sorry about this. I wanted to answer your questions. Please ask me on my social media. I will answer your questions. Please send me connection requests. I will answer your questions. And yeah, give me feedback about the session too. Um, can anyone hear or see me? Okay. So I didn't get anything yet. I didn't get any feedback, any follows yet. I want to hear your questions. Oh, yeah, yeah, wait, never mind. Some people sent me. So also, please give me feedback because, this is the first time I do a session like that. It was really outside of my comfort zone, to be honest with you. Um, I always, usually do topics that I'm very, versed with, like simple things, simpler than that. I never spoke about product before, but I felt like I had to because as you can see, there's not enough awareness about it, and it's becoming a very important skill even now. It's always been there, but now it's becoming even more important than before. So yeah, this is the first time I talk about something like that. So I want your feedback to see how I can do better in the future. I'll accept you until then to see your questions. So you can message me on LinkedIn and I can answer. So if you want to leave, of course you can, but um, you can send me questions here, I guess, and I'll answer them. Okay. No, I didn't get questions yet. It's fine. So I'm gonna be answering you on. I think it's not convenient, maybe to. I'll be looking at the messages. I don't think it's convenient for you, maybe to send me. I don't know. Oh, you are sending me already. Great. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. And of course, as I said, you can ask me questions anytime. Discuss products with me anytime. I want you to discuss this, with your peers. I want you to think about how you can use product in your, the principles you learned today in your current project. It's very important. You will really see a difference. You will feel like you're doing the right thing. This is very important. Okay, so I'll stay for like 5 more minutes just to see any questions you have so I can answer them here. Oh yeah, thank you for the feedback. Yeah, about the internet connection. It usually doesn't happen. I'm so unlucky today. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Also, I should have done a backup faster, to be honest. My fault here. I'm sorry about that. Um, in the next iteration of this session, it will be solved. Yeah. This is for the person telling me I didn't have a huge background on AI. Yeah, this is an intermediate session. This is not a beginner session. For beginners, please focus on the technicals. Focus on, focus on the AI skills. Focus on the technical skills. This is for people who already have, deployed at least one project and want to do better in their next projects. So this is not a beginner session. Yeah. I'm checking your feedback and responding to it and your questions, if any.
Basant, hi.
Yes. Hello. الأخبار.
We're so sorry, we just have to end the session now because
Yeah, we're done. We're just here for Q&A and feedback, but we're done. Thank you. I will answer your questions, guys. I'm receiving them. I'll answer them now, like on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, and thank you for your cooperation with the technical issue in the beginning. I'm sorry about it again, but thank you for being responsive and helpful. Yeah,
thank you so much.
appreciated. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Bye. Goodbye.
Thank you, Basant, for a great presentation. Stay with us, and we'll continue shortly after a break.
Thank you.